Hello, everyone. It's time to take a look at all the S tier decks in Marvel Snap, and in order to do so, we look at what I consider the three most reputable sources outside of myself in the game. We look at Untapped's tier list, Marvel Snap Zone's tier list, and the Great KM Best tier list. We're going to talk about what each of these three lists does differently, and look at each of the decks that each group person has in S tier right now as a way to look at what the very best things to do in the meta are. We're going to begin with Den of Marvel Snap Zone. Marvel Snap Zone does a weekly tier list. Den uses the stats that Marvel Snap Zone has access to in order for this list. He does consider all different tiers of the game, not just top tier, but the list is fundamentally built upon cube rate. So this is Den. If you want to check out the full methodology, you can check the article on Marvel Snap Zone, linked in the description of this video, where you can find the decks in this portion of the tier list. Den is a regular friend of the channel. I'm a regular contributor to Marvel Snap Zone, and let's get started with what he has as the number one deck, which is Pure Move. This is the pure move that replaces Alioth with Juggernaut. This is what Sizer was rank 1 with last season. Yes, he still played some bounce move, which he took to the Golden Gauntlet tournament. See also yesterday's video. Yes, he does still mix and match with other things, but this has been what he has played as the number one deck for a bit now. It is a reasonably standard move list. It is worth noting that at some point, Craven used to, not Craven, Craven is still here. Craven's amazing. Vulture was in the list. Vulture has been removed from this list. Vulture was very often only a 1/8, quote unquote, only, and there's ways to get things that are just fundamentally play for more points. Human Torch remains the most important card in this list. Human Torch is so many points, he all but guarantees you at least one lane. Your opponent will have a hard time interacting with Human Torch, thanks to A, not knowing where he'll be because it's a move list. The cat is now directly in front of the screen, and B, the power of Cosmo and Juggernaut to protect the Human Torch. So with those things in place, Human Torch ends up being this ridiculous lane winner. From there, it's the deck's job to try and win another lane. It has, a few different ways to do that. Dagger gets reasonably big here. Dagger is often a big play. Dagger with Sparky, everyone wants to use Sparky on Human Torch, that's obviously best. But Dagger with Sparky at the end of the game is often an 18 to 20 power dagger, which is obviously a lot of points. Craven, meanwhile, partners with Cloak and Hellion on turn 5. You move a few cards on Craven, and then in the game you move 3 more with Craven to end up being a 15 or more power card. You compare that with Heimdall, and then all of a sudden your Craven is absolutely a world beater. Of course, in order to win a lane, we also just can rely on Juggernaut. Juggernaut remains one of the 3 to 5 best cards in Marvel Snap, especially as a late game lane winner in this archetype where no one expects it. As far as cards you need that are high series, you can probably play this without Aranya and just run Iron Fist, but Madam Web, Sparky, Hellion are all absolutely needed cards. And if you were going to replace Juggernaut, you're looking at another high series card, that being usually either Alioth or, in terms of Ava, our good friend Ava, finished in the top 6 in yesterday's or this weekend's Golden Gauntlet tournament, and he ran Cosmic Ghost Rider in that spot. So there is some serious optionality here. There are options for what you can do and how you can play this list, but in my opinion, my perspective is, unless you are at the very, 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 very top of the meta, this is probably the best deck. And if you are at the very top of the meta and you have given up on move, I urge you to consider that a lot fewer players seem to be playing Mercury right now. Mercury was at the start of this new meta in every single deck as a way to counter move. And so a lot of top players moved off move, and now we're like 2 or 3 different counters away. End of turn became the meta deck, and now people are busy countering end of turn. If that's the case, if people are busy countering end of turn, then you should be ready to cook with this list. This list should be more than powerful enough, more than effective enough to be the best deck in the game, which is where I would personally have it. That's why we're starting with Den's list, because he's the one that has this first, thanks to the stats on Snapzone. The other there's 3 other lists that Den has in tier 1, and this is a pre-infinite pick. So if you are looking for infinite and you want something that's sort of just cooking, and like this isn't cheap, right? A lot of people I know don't own Frankie Ray. Lasher was free, so hopefully people own. But Symbiote Spider-Man and Namora is a card that a lot of people don't own. But like, hopefully you own Agony and Lasher since they were free for game modes. Jeff could be easily like a Nightcrawler or whatever. Frankie Ray and Symbiote Spider-Man are sort of the tough ones here. This list is very, very powerful, especially at farming bots. But honestly, a lot of decks right now are sort of focused on their own stuff. And if you're focused on your own stuff and not interacting with your opponent, this list is just going to go over the top of you. It's going to do the Wong Panther Zola. It's going to do the Namora on top of Lasher and Frankie Ray, and then play Odin on that Namora. especially if that's on a Wong. And it's got the magic to have the extra turns to do it. If your opponents aren't interacting, this deck cooks. This deck absolutely cooks anyone who's not ready to interact. Is it something I would recommend if you're high infinite? No. But if you're not high infinite or you're still trying to get infinite, I can easily see this as a tier 1 deck. Next up, this one is just severely underplayed. This is our standard ongoing. There is nothing special about this ongoing list. It is doing very simple 100% ongoing stuff. I believe every card in the list, except Mystique, who copies an ongoing, is in fact an ongoing card. We are doing the potential Mystique copy Iron Man with Mystique under Moonstone with this list. We are doing all sorts of Moonstone Captain Carter or Captain Carter Captain Marvel shenanigans with this list. We're cheating energy with Ravonna for the Iron Man, Mystique, and Mr. Fantastic. There's just Mr. Fantastic's really, really solid, by the way, with Moonstone on top of him. There's just a lot to like about this list. It's really simple, it's really straightforward, and if you're not seeing a lot of Enchantress or Cosmic Ghost Rider, and certain parts of the meta are, this is the list I'd be looking at. This is a list I'd be looking at, especially because it's reasonably budget. If you want to play this list, Goliath, Sam Wilson, Sam Wilson and Carter, if you buy the season pass, you won't, right? Goliath, who was right around when Sam came out and was a must-have back then, and Ravonna and Moonstone are the needed cards. Stardust is really solid here, but far from a required card, just a nice option to have. Finally, we have End of Turn. This is the deck I hit Infinite with an 83% win rate. I have been sort of busy over the weekend, so I've only been logging into my daily, so I'm still playing this. I'm still rocking a 75-ish% win rate at high Infinite. This list is utterly disgusting. I spent a ridiculous amount of time talking about it. Most people aren't talking about this version of the list. This version of the list feels like it shouldn't work as well. It does. It is more combo based. So if your opponent's moving your stuff, if your opponent's running Cosmic Ghost Rider, you can lose. However, this deck survives Cosmic Ghost Rider surprisingly well, because by the time that card comes down, I usually, if I'm going to Jocasta, I have a copy of Jocasta. If I'm going to Invisible Woman for steps, I have a copy of that. You know what I mean? It can take out a couple of cards, but it's hard for that one card to do enough damage. And cards like Marvel Boy, even on the regular, right, play for like 10, 11 power. Havoc is still a 2-5, 2-4 at the very least. Thena's like a 2-6, a 2-7. Bruce can be a 2-12. And then you have the extra power from like Fantastic on it. This list just puts up points, while Spider-Ham offers enough disruption that you should be able to get reasonable information about when and how to snap. And people keep snapping into this. I don't understand why. At the end of the game, they're like, oh, you don't have any end of turn stuff, but you have a copy Jocasta. And I'm just like, well, I just dropped a Sunspot and a Marvel Boy, and now I have like 30 power in every lane. Good luck. I think that this is another of the what I have personally as 3 top tier decks with move. The third of the 3 top tier decks we haven't actually seen yet. I think that ongoing deck is good if you're around floating around infinite, like low infinite. I think that's a really great call, and I think the on reveal deck is amazing to get infinite. The first and last deck I think are great anywhere you are. I think the end of turn deck and the move deck are great at every single rank in Marvel Snap right now. If you want to win, those are 2 of the 3 decks I'd personally be looking at. But let's see what other people say. But before we do, if you enjoy this type of content, if you enjoy Snap content that no one else gives you, taking care of the meta from every perspective, please hit that sub, leave a like, and leave a comment. We will also, and you should go check right now, the community posts. We gave away 5 zombie Scarlet Witches last week. We're giving away another one this week, probably another one on stream if you want to check those out. So we're giving away another zombie Scarlet Witch this week. All you have to do is sub, like, and comment. That's just that simple. Every video this week is your chance to win a zombie Scarlet Witch. All right, next up, let's look at Cam Best. Cam Best with a great number of subscribers, a bajillion videos he posts every day. He is the voice of the top of the meta. He's the only person, if you don't watch his content, that exists in the same sort of space, covering all the top meta decks as I do. He's in rank 36 right now in the world, one of the best players in the game. If you don't follow Cam Best, I cannot recommend you do enough. I probably watch more of his content than anyone else's, just because it seems important for me to personally stay on top of everything the top meta is talking about, and he sets such a big part of the top meta. Every Sunday, he does a tier list. Unlike Den in Marvel Snap Zone, who ignores his opinion, Cam Best's tier list is just his opinion. It is straight up just his thoughts, feelings, and opinions on the metagame. Nothing data-driven about it. However, he's such a high-ranked player and knows all the other top high-ranked players, it's still worth looking at as one of the top choices in the game. So let's take a look at Cam Best level 1. So this version, or the Dark Hawk version, is the third deck I was talking about. This is a Derek list that a lot of top players are currently playing. Derek being a former multiple time number one player, the winner of Golden Gauntlet 1, an absolute monster of a Marvel Snap player. So this is a list that takes advantage of two things. First, a lot of the end of turn stuff, a lot of the other types of move decks, that type of deck falls apart to Supergiant. They need, like not want, they need their turn 5. If you can take away their turn 5, you're incredibly ahead. The other thing this does is it does what has traditionally been the most powerful thing to do Marvel Snap. It matches big, stupid stats with control cards. And this deck runs a whopping 4, used to be like 7, but still, for this meta, a whopping 4 powerful control cards. Shadow King, you can take care of a move list if you're good enough. Red Guardian can take care of move, can take care of a Jocasta, so on and so forth. Negasonic, blow up their important play. Enchantress, if they want to go ongoing, shut them down. This list is utterly disgusting. It is in tier 1, and people are not ready for it. People are not playing around all the different things this deck can do, and it is literally capable of beating absolutely anything. This list is a top tier deck, period. This is the third of my top tier, although I remain unconvinced that this version is better than the Eco version. The Eco version, however, I'm just going to tell you this right now. The Eco version is the Darkhawk version. The Darkhawk version is not appearing on this tier list. The Darkhawk version that runs Alive, that runs Terrax isn't right now in anyone's tier 1. I have that neck and neck with this. I think they're both in the tier 1 along with this version of the list from Cam Best. This is the 3 list that I would have at the top, but it's great to see Cam has this as his best list in the game. 3 top players took this to the Golden Gauntlet yesterday. Derek, 2 days ago, whatever. Derek, Roram, and Derek, Roram, and Browde. Browde finished in the top 20, qualifying for Worlds. Again, I think he already had. And Roram finished rank 3. Derek didn't do as well, but he's still Derek, so whatever. And so this list is just what the top players are on right now. Get ready to see a lot more of this. If this hasn't found your part of the meta, it eventually will. This type of deck is just really, really strong and really hard to counter. In tier 1, by the 2 sweetest words in the English language, default, because it won the Golden Gauntlet yesterday, is Cougar's List. Cougar's List is, how do I put this? Fantastic. It's a really, really cool list. It's an alternate take on a move list. We saw the original versions of this had Scream, right? And then we moved off Scream and started playing other versions. And then it disappeared for a while. And Iris, a top player, amazing deck builder, brought back a version of this. Iris created a version of this that ran Hellion and Thing for steps. Well, Cougar decided, no, I don't want that. I want Cannonball and Mercury. People still can't handle Cannonball and Mercury. I want Cosmic Ghost Rider. Those cards destroy end of turn. Those cards give move decks, Mercury in particular, a massive amount of trouble. This deck does not feel bad. It does not mind in the slightest if your opponent plays Supergiant against you. It's like, all right, well, that's fine. I'll just drop a Cosmic Ghost Rider back there. I can move a Mercury and play a Cannonball there, and you don't know where that's going to be. I can use Juggernaut for extra power, all that kind of stuff. This is, again, not a whopping. We're not quite at whopping. 3 control cards, right? Mercury, Juggernaut, and I guess 4. Cannonball. Mercury and Cannonball are 1 card. Damn it for this. Juggernaut, Cosmic Ghost Rider. Mobius, make sure that people can't just cheat you with energy, although you can still be cheated by something like Hela. This is like mid-range. This is what mid-range is. I'm going to be honest. I don't think this is a tier 1 deck. I love Cougar. Cougar's one of my favorite people in this game. Hi, Coug. I think Cougar is a monster. There's certain types of decks, like Derek finishing number 1 when he won with Bounce, right? When Derek finished number 1 with the bounce list, everyone played that bounce list like a 40% win rate. People couldn't win with it. I think this list is better for the common person than Derek's list, but I think this is a Cougar win more than a deck win. This is a great deck. Again, I'm not saying this is not a top deck, but I think it's more A to B tier, like low A, high B tier, than it is S tier, despite Cam's placement. And this placement, I think, is a respect call for this deck doing so very well at the most recent Golden Gauntlet. And then the third of Cam's is his preferred version of the Invisible Woman deck. I believe he cooked up this one with Derek. This one is more all in on Activate. It's the Omega Sentinel version. This version, Omega Sentinel, is really, really annoying with Jocasta against Human Torch. If you've never done it, you should try it, because the second that Human Torch moves, you get that to negative power. It's now doubling negative power, and you win. But it's also got Mercury for that matchup. It's got Herbie, because Herbie in a Jocasta lane often ends up to be 12 to 24 power. That you're happy to have that. You've got Prodigy and to copy the Jocasta, and Invisible Woman for steps for the regular Invisible Woman for step shenanigans. This version is great. I personally do not believe this list is better or beats the version on Den's list. This version is like Cam loves this version. This version has a really high win rate. I'm not trying to say anything bad about this version. I personally prefer the other version. I think it's better, but I wouldn't complain if you considered either of these two decks S tier. That's Cam's list. His was short today. Hey, come check out a stream at twitch.tv/PulseGlazer where I stream almost every weeknight. Sorry, week morning for y'all. I live in Vietnam right now, so I stream almost every morning. So if you're ever interested in coming to check that out, it would mean an awful lot. Twitch.tv/PulseGlazer. And our season pass question is which deck of these is your favorite and which deck that you think is best is not here. I'll tell you one more sleeper deck that I think is not here, but first we got to look at Untapped. This is Untapped. Untapped is a Marvel Snap website that well, it has like Magic and a bunch of games, and it keeps stats. It has a deck tracker. It has the biggest deck tracker in the game, and it keeps stats. So we're just going to look at Untapped stats. And if you're wondering where like the Alex Kochia and a few others versions of this tier list are, they're just using Untapped stats. So it feels silly to use their tier list when I can just go pull the Untapped stats with the filters that I think are most important and appropriate, right? I don't need their filters. I've got my own that I think are important and provide a clear idea. No offense, obviously, to Alex or anyone else. I love Alex. Alex Coach is one of my favorite people in this whole game, but I can pull those stats too. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to look at what Untapped has as of this recording for their tier 1. So in order to do so, I went to player collection level 6,000 last 7 days, i.e. this season, and I went to infinite top 50%, and then I went to infinite top 10%. Top 10% is a very low sample this early in the season, so the 2,000 games at top 50% I think is a little better. There are only 2 decks in top 50% at the S tier. One is this Deadpool Destroy list. Deadpool Destroy has been given new life by Moira coming out. However, the version that has been doing best lately actually cut Moira for Headpool. I think that the actual cut here is Wolverine, and you should run Headpool and Moira. That would be my guess long term for the best version. That was Roram's idea. The great Roram keeps coming up this video. Pixel Takeover. But this version, I think, is the best. Everyone came up with the same basic version. Destroy wasn't like hard to build, right? It's look, here's the Destroy deck. Oh, look, a new card. Let's figure out what to cut for it. But Destroy has been great. There's a ton of stats. We're not seeing quite enough Cosmo to really mess with this. There's a lot less Shang, so you're a lot less likely to get taken out by that. Shadow King is on the rise, so I expect the rise of Shadow King. Shadow King now being in the Supergiant deck, and not just the Supergiant deck, but also being a part of Victoria Handless, means that I personally think that the Destroy is going to have a downfall, a coming like problem. The caveat to that, of course, is okay, so be it. For the time being, you're not playing next week, right? If you're playing tonight, this is a really great list to try. Next up, we have Victoria Hand. The only other thing in S tier, according to at top 50%, according to Untapped stats, is Victoria Hand. Now, that's wild to me. But Victoria Hand did not appear on any other tier list, let alone this style of Victoria Hand, which actually had a extremely high, like 60% win rate in a real sample size. This is no Bastion, right? We're running Moon Girl over Bastion. No Werewolf Merlin stuff, just a straight up version. The only spice here really is Quake and Red Guardian as your choice of tech cards to go with Shadow King instead of those extra power cards. Victoria Hand, however, still produces at a high win rate. To me personally, Victoria Rate is the shortest A tier deck for me. I've told you several times this video what I think the S tier is. I think Victoria Hand is the shortest A tier deck. I can easily see it rising as it's about to get Mr. Fantastic First Steps. The reason that you're getting this video in the morning and not Mr. Fantastic, not First Steps, excuse me, Mr. Zombie Mr. Fantastic video, is that I think that this is a fairly obvious zombie Mr. Fantastic home. You just take this list and you run Zombie Mr. Fantastic over like probably Quake, and you'll be totally fine. I don't think it's much more complicated than that. I think that card is great for this particular list, and you should run it there. That's enough for me here, right? I do, again, like if you want the other S tier list, this is it. This is also an S tier at top 10%, just for the record, slightly lower stats though. So this version is also S tier at top 10%, and now the rest of these lists will be the top 10% S tier. So we have the Roram Arisham Thanos. This one is, I think, Zombies to go Nom Noms version, but they're all in the same variety. 3 of these reached the cut yesterday in the Golden Gauntlet after winning the second Golden Gauntlet. This archetype is real. It's actually also really fun right now. I don't know why Quake is in this version. It's usually running I don't remember, an extra 3-drop or Agamotto, but whatever. It's like within 2 cards. All the versions are within 2 or 3 cards. Isan finally has a home. Legion and Cosmic Ghost Rider are an absolute ridiculous, powerful pair of plays on turn 4. Valentina, you play on 2, you immediately have an answer on 3. You get the wrong cards from your Arishem, and Merlin turns them into better cards. Like, everything about this list sings. This is an awesome list. This is another one that I personally have in the A tier, not the S tier, but it's not far from the S tier. Like, I think the Victoria Hand list is safer, but this has higher upside. Victoria Hand didn't make the cut in the tournament, right? I think this is probably a better overall list. I think this list is kind of a monster, and I'm surprised that none of the others had it near the top of their tier list. I don't know what this is. I don't know how this is still ranking so highly. I don't feel like Hela has enough points. I am able to outpoints this with a lot of lists right now. Hela is very good. I'm not saying Hela is bad, but a supergiant version of Hela right now has a lot of play into a lot of things for all the same reasons that that other big deck had play, right? What Supergiant Hela has that's extra is a way to like hide your Hela. You can play Odin, then play Hela on turn 6, and then your Odin will reveal, and then pop the Hela. That kind of thing is obviously a very strong play. Supergiant's really cool in this list, and it gives this a little extra legs, and seemingly pushed it onto this tier list. If we do this again in a week, and we only do this version of the video every couple of weeks because just going through everyone's work, the meta doesn't change all that quickly. I don't see a need to like follow that much. I think both the Darkhawk and the Red Skull versions of Supergiant are better lists than this, but right now the stats say this one's right there with them because the stats don't. Oops, they do. The list we started the KM section with is the list I believe we end this video with as our Supergiant Red Skull list returns. I already talked about it. This shows up on 2 of the 3 tier lists. The Darkhawk version does not show up either through the stats or through the either through the stats or through Cam's subjective opinion, except as an alternate, which I think is interesting. It is, however, the very, very top of A tier on the Marvel Snap Zone tier list, if you're curious. I still think that version is as good. That version finished both 2nd and I want to say 7th in yesterday's Golden Gauntlet. I genuinely believe that is an equivalently powerful list. I think this list too is one of the best in the game. I promised you I would mention one more list that I thought was very, very close to here, and I think that last list is Discard. The reason I don't have discard here is Cosmic Ghost Rider is all over the place right now. If you are playing at a CL, if you're playing at a high CL or a high enough rank to see Cosmic Ghost Rider, you are right now going to see a lot of Cosmic Ghost Rider. And discard does not like to see Cosmic Ghost Rider. It's better than it was, right? Because now you have the ability to compete in 3 lanes with Morbius, Dracula, and of course the new Zombie Captain America. So it's less bad than it was, but it's still really frustrating. You'll also see the return of Red Guardian, and when you start to combo these things, when you don't have the ability to, for example, MODOK on 5 because of Supergiant, you could end up in trouble. That said, I still think that's the last of the A tier decks and the only A tier deck we didn't talk about. That Victoria Hand and Arishem being the A tier, in my opinion. Please do let me know what you think of this list, of these lists, of my analysis of them in the comments. But before we get out of here, I'm just going to let you know we have a Patreon, patreon.com/snapjudgments, where I record an exclusive video every week. That video is coming today, my dear patrons. So please check out patreon.com/snapjudgments. And I got to say thank you to the top tier patrons: Jonesy Snap 22, Abigail Gieslin, Matt Tori Berna, regardless who stopped playing, but Ari, you can drop, bud. I appreciate you. Love you. But, LAB, Inc. I am Frostman, Hota, Navigator Prime, Brian, Ryan Burke, Ryan Wood Snap, Ren Wrench, Gopher Kev, Keltor, Kirtix Lee, Koirei, Kazushi, Archangel 3K, Black Dahlia, Pyro, The Goat Seeker, Code, Hollowed Synth, Fatnik, Absolute Shannon, Dirtay, Casual, Dark Moogle, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, Welcome Home, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philly, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, The Bizza, Black Tebus 23, Extra C, and Skippy GRR, Rhyming Friends, Jessica Gamble, Mr. Slush Death, The King of Bros, The Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kibs, Yehuda, Clam, Colonel Forbin. Oh, excuse me, we're going right back up. Slush Death put together all the decks for yesterday's Golden Gauntlet video for me. Thank you so much to Slush Death. Rob Silverman, David Moo Wingfield, Steven, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B, Matt V, Ray Sean Smith, Charles Washington, Chucky, Corwin, John Q, Jimmy Q, Yes Out, One Big Man, Cactus Jack, Steve-O, Yomiko, Tebro, Joe. Snap Decisions Show. Check out Snap Decisions Podcast. Bickety Boom Bop. Bricks to Click. Green Goblin. Flan 56. Spectrumus. Hoot. Only Fox. Matt H. DJ. Mikey Adjects. No Freaking Flex. Nikki. The Greeky. The Geeky. Toxic Soul King. Saturday 24. The King of Canada. JJ. Tim Methlock. Fop 30. Two Ties. The Great Lord as the Pirate King Tucker. And of course, naturally, it's Gunny T, where the T stands for he ran that Golden Gauntlet tournament once more and absolutely crushed it. Props to Gunny, props to Models, props to everyone who ran that. Thank you to Cam Best, to Den and Marvel Snap Zone, and of course to Untapped for the amazing content, the amazing data, and for helping get this video be made. And I'll see you all tomorrow, or maybe later today. Maybe I'll do a quickie for Zombie Mr. Fantastic. What do you think? Peace.